Welcome to episode 38 of Oscar Sunday. I'm Austin Johnson.
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And today we're going to talk about Fargo from 1996, which was nominated for a total of 7 Oscars at the 69th Academy Awards. Joel and Ethan Coen won for Best Screenplay, while Joel's wife, Frances McDormand, won for Best Actress in a Lead Role. Now, it's actually Friday, 4:30 p.m. here in San Antonio, Texas. And we have just now kind of gone on our feet in this part of the state. It's been an interesting week for sure. And I want to just speak as a Texan, as someone who's lived here most of my life, that I'm pretty disappointed in our handling of, this weather. A lot of other states probably are confused. Why can't you guys, handle a winter storm? Because we're Texas. In 1989, there was a very harsh winter storm, and apparently, people are learning now that after that, they just didn't do anything about it. They're like, oh, whatever, it won't happen again. We won't have a winter that bad again. Well, guess what? This is the worst winter that we've had. From people, losing their homes. I know some people that, the water pipes burst, and then there ended up being a fire because of some gas shortages, and the whole apartment building burnt down to the ground. That's right here, a few miles away from where Connor and I are at. Crazy stuff. People not able to show up to work, this or that, being stuck at home, losing power, losing water. It's not a fun situation for a lot of people. And for myself, I've kind of had to jump from different place to different place because at my apartment where I'm at now, I didn't have power for 4 days and didn't have water for 3 days. And so I was kind of jumping around to my girlfriend's mom's apartment and then my dad's house. And, you and I were keeping up with each other every day. Like, you all right, man? You surviving? Like, there's no way to go get food. Texas was not prepared for what we just went through. And as we come out of it, here on Friday and, tomorrow for Saturday and, going into Sunday, it's supposed to clear up a lot. People are supposed to be able to get back on the roads and start going back to work and all this and that. I'm never going to forget this week. And I'm never going to forget that our leaders in Texas just didn't do their jobs. And, I wanted to say that as a Texan. Again, I've lived here for almost all of my life. I've lived in a few other places, but mostly Texas and mostly San Antonio. And I've never been more disappointed in my leadership within my state. We got Ted Cruz going to Cancun, Mexico for vacation while we're going through this. It's quite frustrating, these things that are happening. So I wanted to open up with that. We're going to be talking a lot about Fargo today, which is interesting because it has a lot of snow in it. And we're going to talk about the Coen Brothers, Roger Deakins, Franny Mcdormand, these people who are heavily involved in this movie. But I thought it'd be silly if I didn't share those feelings that I've had throughout this week and give people some perspective on what Texans have gone through, because it was a winter storm, and it's not like we're wimpy and can't handle being outside or something. It's when you can't sleep because it's 40 degrees in your house, because nothing works. It's when you don't have water to take a shower, you don't have water to drink. It's when your pipes burst and flood your whole apartment or flood your whole house. It's those things that our state was not prepared for. So I've seen a lot of stuff where people are just like, they just don't understand, as outsiders, maybe people from the North, they just don't quite understand. I think it's good to have context and perspective. Do you have anything you want to add, Connor?
I think what hurt the most, apart from our just complete lack of leadership and the Texas government lining their pockets with, by just completely avoiding winterizing the state.
Yeah.
All these tweets about people saying like, well, they voted Trump, so let Texas die. I've seen a lot of that. And I want you guys I want you to know that a lot of us did not vote Republican. A lot of us would never vote Republican after all this shit. So just don't lump us in with those assholes. Like, a lot of us are just trying to our hardest to get by here. And there's nothing we can do beyond, just wait. And, I just keep in mind that we're innocent in this.
Yes.
This is not cosmic retribution. Like, just keep that in mind.
a lot of individual citizens, are innocent in this and are just trying to figure out what to do. Uh, I do feel, a lot more positive about the situation now. It's the sun's out and snow is melting, all that good stuff, and people are, starting to get their power back, and that's the main thing, is that they can start heating up food and feeding their children and whatnot. And hopefully this is a wake up call. These are the things that need to happen, obviously, for people to wake up. As sad as it may be, that's just how it has to be, I guess, right now. And I guess like you said, our fellow Texans, we got to realize, realize that the leaders do have something to say here, and like you said, line in their pockets, not by simply not choosing to winterize the state is crazy. So, where Connor and I are at, where the whole Filmgazm team is at. Pretty much all of us live in Texas except for Josh, and where Josh is at. And we are trying to move forward and trying to change that kind of stigma about our state all being Republican and Trump supporters, because that's definitely not true here.
God, no, I would no.
Oh man. Also today is Friday. Nomadland is coming out today.
Yes.
Frances McDormand. That's kind of why we chose Fargo. She gets the Oscar win for playing Marge, and is just an unbelievable performance. And a lot of people have her kind of slotted in already as winning Best Actress at the Golden Globes and Oscars for her role in Nomadland. And that's coming out on Hulu today. You could have already watched it, and I'm going to watch it tonight. I'm super excited. And it's going to become kind of a Franny McDorman weekend here with Filmgazm. This episode's on Sunday. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Nomadland, really give it a go. And I'm super excited, man, because she's a legend.
Hell yeah. She's an amazing actress, and she's been with the Coen Brothers since the beginning.
Yes.
She's been with a Coen brother, but she's also been with, the ensemble since the beginning with Blood Simple. And she's been there for almost for a good chunk of their films. And outside of the Coen brothers, she's also just an incredible actress and an incredible activist, and a very upstanding and an actress and a woman to look up to. She's a role model. And I respect the hell out of Frances McDormand. Every role I see of hers is just lights out.
Oh yeah. She's unbelievable. She has an ability to play badass, not like men even know how to. She's able to kind of grab the audience by the balls, like some of the greatest legends of all time, in cinema. She has the same kind of, when she stares at you and pierces through you, it's kind of like, it reminds you of the greats like Marlon Brando even. You're like, damn, she really has it.
Yeah.
Not sure, we all talk about that. It's cliche, but it's true with her. There's probably like 30 people that you can say that about, and she's one of them. And the Academy thinks so too. She's been nominated a handful of times. We're going to go through those, talk about her wins. She's going for her third win at this show. That's special territory. Not a lot of women and men have gotten to 3 awards, have gone to 3 wins. The guys that come to mind: Daniel Day-Lewis, Jack Nicholson. You got Katharine Hepburn, who has 4. You got Meryl Streep, who has 3. Who else do we got out there? That might be it. Who else has 3?
3 or more wins for acting. That might be it. Ingrid Bergman.
Ingrid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good call, because we just did Gaslight. What a great film.
Brando's only got 2. Bogey's just got the 1. Trying to go farther back.
Daniel Day-Lewis, Walter Brennan.
Walter Brennan.
Okay, no, that's there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 people. We got them all, man. Katharine Hepburn, Meryl Streep, Jack Nicholson, Ingrid Bergman, Daniel Day-Lewis, Walter Brennan.
We're fucking good at this, man. We're
trying. We're trying to get there, and Frances McDormand's trying to get in there too. She's trying to get into that group. Holy shit!
That's amazing. She could do it. If anybody could do it, if anybody could get the hat trick, she can.
Well, and she would enter a Mount Rushmore of women: Meryl Streep, Katharine Hepburn, Ingrid Bergman, and Frances McDormand.
God, doesn't that just sound right?
Just, I have chills, right?
Like, yeah, that four greats, 4 all-time greats right there. That makes perfect sense to me.
Totally okay with it. And you know who's going to be there soon is Viola Davis.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I love looking at that kind of stuff. Just kind of seeing where the kind of stats are almost, and because Frances McDormand is one of those people who's in that kind of weird territory. So I do want to start with her. This is a Coen brother movie, like you said. She's married to Joel. They've been married since 1984. Blood Simple. And like you said, goes on to kind of beat Raising Arizona. Is in all these movies going into the 90s and into the 2000s. Like one of my personal favorites is Burn After Reading. She's so good in that. Like, so good.
Oh yeah, she's great. But for me, I mean, with her Coen performances, Raising Arizona is the one I quote the most often. He's an angel straight from heaven, like all that. And it's just, it's always a joy to see her, because that she's just going to elevate whatever she's in. Even the shitty Transformers movie she was in for like a second, it got a little better.
Yes, it heightened for just a moment. It's kind of like when I'll bring up Viola Davis again, when she's in Suicide Squad. You're like, oh, okay, this makes sense.
Oh yeah, and she's gonna elevate the new one. She's one of the few pieces they kept from 2016's film, and I'm sure with James Gunn's writing, she's gonna make Waller pop like never before. So
hell yeah,
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, man. She's another one of those women that will totally get her own kind of episode at some point. She's just pretty breathtaking. Franny McDormand. She's got the nomination for Best Actress in a Supporting Role, Mississippi Burning. That came out in 1988. We got Fargo, which of course we're going to be talking about a lot. She got the win there for Best Actress in a Lead Role. We have Best Actress in a Supporting Role nomination for Almost Famous, which came out in 2000. We have North Country. She's nominated for, again, Best Actress in a Supporting Role. That came out in 2005. And then she wins just a few years ago for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, for Best Actress in a Lead Role. What of those have you seen?
I've seen all but North Country and Mississippi Burning. Okay.
And of course, you're going to watch Nomadland, which everybody kind of already has in that slot too. Yeah. I own North Country. I think you'd like that one a lot. I thought about doing it this week, but there was no way for us to. I had no way to do
any prep for this episode beyond Fargo.
Exactly. Same here. There's not a lot I could do either. Almost Famous is a movie we're both very familiar with, but Mississippi Burning, that's the one I also have not seen. That one's tough to swallow because
I've heard that's a rough film.
I've heard it. Yeah. I've heard it's something that people like you and I are just kind of obsessed with this stuff. We just kind of have to see it at some point, Yeah. Just alone the cast: Gene Hackman, Willem Dafoe, Frances McDormand, Brad Dourif is in that. It's pretty bonkers, and that's one of those movies I think I've talked about on this show or one of our shows through Filmgazm is that there's like an never-ending list of movies that I know I need to see in the back of my head. Yeah, and they just kind of bounce around, and that's one of them. Mississippi Burning is high up on that list for sure. And I feel that way about a lot of movies, but that one I'm kind of like, what am I doing? I should probably just carve out some time tomorrow to go ahead and see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. They've been on my list for, years. It's an ongoing, I just watched North by Northwest yesterday for the first time. So some of these films, just take a long time to finally, have the effort to put on. And yeah, eventually I will get there. And to be fair, a lot of this stuff I am waiting on first. Are we going to do it on the show? Should I wait till I have my initial response, my initial feelings for the show? It's like, should I wait and savor it? A lot of that has happened.
well, yeah, exactly. And you and I both would have watched this if we would have been able to. We just didn't have time or power or whatever it may be, and we were not able to watch Mississippi Burning. So that kind of sucks, but it'll come back around. It surely will come back around. I obviously said Fargo is the first win. Let's talk about our second win, because I think that movie has had an interesting lifespan already. It's just been a little under 4 years that it's been a film and been kind of in the history books. Is 3 Billboards. I saw this in theaters at Embassy, and I thought it was pretty wonderful the first time I saw it, and then I remember reading some reviews, and I understood some of the backlash and about the Sam Rockwell character, but at the same time, I'm a huge French Connection fan. And Gene Hackman's nasty in that movie. I like when a cop is nasty because cops are sometimes nasty.
Yeah.
And so Three Billboards, it's had some interesting, like negativity going towards it. Oh, like, of course, this is up for a bunch of Oscars, but I think it's a pretty damn good movie.
I do too. I saw it at Draft House Park North, and I went in expecting it to be a comedy because Martin McDonagh's two other films, In Bruges and Seven Psychopaths, were straight up comedy. So I assumed this was also going to be a comedy. And while it had some comedic flavor, sometimes it is very much a drama. And I did get sucked in, and I thought this is really good. I thought this was going to take Best Picture that year. I think Shape of Water beat it, right? That year.
Yeah.
And
get out.
Yeah.
Ugh,
it was a loaded year, and I love Guillermo del Toro, but no, sorry.
I think people just watched, if people have just watched Judas and the Black Messiah, they're reminded, like, God damn, he should have won Best Actor, and and fucking Get Out should have won everything. That was the best movie that year.
But Three Billboards is a movie. I mean, it takes place in a small town in Missouri. You're gonna have racist cops.
Exactly.
It's a realistic depiction of what that town would have. I love the idea of a mother taking charge of the investigation of her daughter's murder and calling the cops out on not doing enough. I think that's a great idea. And Frances McDormand was perfectly cast as the mother who would make that decision. And I can't sing praises enough for her performance in that movie. She 100% deserved that Oscar. And yeah, that's a film I have not watched enough, and I would like to watch that again.
Yeah, I've seen it. I think I've just seen it twice. I watched it at home. It was on the HBO cycle at one point. It might still be. Franny is unbelievable, but you got really good stuff from Woody Harrelson with a character that doesn't make like total sense, but I kind of like it. Sam Rockwell, Caleb Landry Jones, Lucas Hedges, like, this is a cool cast. Amanda Warren works at the store with Frances McDormand. I like this movie.
Yeah,
I understand it being like another white movie, but like, sometimes I think, especially with a guy like Marty McDonough, he's a pretty talented dude who's obviously willing to take it to different genres, and I like this one. I think it's aged better than people want to give it credit for.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's, just calling it a white movie, I think is simplifying things. I think it's a film about, a broken family, a film about, cops trying to find their way back. I think there's a lot in that movie that keeps it from just being labeled as just another white movie.
Agreed. Yeah.
I think we need to, like, I know this is oversimplifying big time, and I'm not going to, I'm not making any, big declaration here, but in my own experience, at least, I try to just block out those kinds of thoughts when I'm watching a movie and just kind of see the film for what it is, kind of, try to, like, don't pigeonhole people by just race, but I try to find a way to describe them better. Like, instead of just calling, Sam Rockwell a racist white cop, maybe he's a struggling cop in a small town who's trying to overcome that shit. Maybe that, I don't know. I just think it's more fun and more educational to view things like that.
Yeah, it's a bit more challenging, to take things in with like multiple perspectives, not just like not just a narrow one. Yeah, I agree. And that goes with kind of everything in art, right? Especially with movies. Yeah. I get caught up in my own bias sometimes, especially when I'm watching new stuff, like 2021 stuff, or some stuff that's coming out right now. Sometimes I'll be real harsh on it, or just not give that chance to kind of breathe. And so I think I have work to do always in my kind of just like stepping back for a minute, step back. And that's also when I praise something a lot, when like you just throw all the praise onto it without doing your own research. I think it's always good to step back if you love or hate something. I think it's always good to do that.
Yeah, I straight up did that to myself when we did the Malcolm and Marie on the sneak preview. I praised it without really knowing what it was about, and I shouldn't have done that.
I also threw a lot of daggers at it, and maybe maybe some of those daggers were too harsh, but some of them I stand by heavily. I stand by them heavily. I would actually, thinking about it more, I think I gave it a 7. And I don't think that was like totally honest. It's more of a 6 in my mind. And I've thought that for sure. I've had many conversations about that movie with people, and it's a divisive one for sure. But the Coens, Fargo, how is this the first movie that they're into the Oscars with? Like, we're passing up, I mean, two of my personal favorites, Raising Arizona and Barton Fink and Miller's Crossing, like, whoa, you get into kind of dangerous territory when you're just deflecting those movies.
Yeah. It's actually surprising how little Oscar attention the Coens have gotten over the years. Like, I think like very few, I think for like actually directing or writing, it was just Fargo, Oh Brother, No Country, and True Grit. Like, I don't think they've really
a serious man.
Oh, yep. Serious Man. And I think Buster Scruggs got them a screenplay nod, didn't it?
Correct. And Joel helped write Bridge of Spies.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I wanted to mention that because I totally forgot that.
That movie just kind of vanished. I mean, it was good, but I have not like gone back at all.
Maybe we should, man. Maybe that'd be I don't think I've seen it since theaters.
And I have a lot of, mixed thoughts. I don't think Mark Rylance should have taken Best Supporting Actor for that. I think it was Sly's turn. I think he should have taken that for Creed. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I think considering the Coens' body of work prior to 96, Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, Miller's Crossing, Barton Fink, I mean, those are 4 amazing films.
Yeah, like knockouts. Yeah.
And the only Oscar nomination in there is Best Supporting Actor for Michael Lerner for Barton Fink.
Yeah. Nothing for the Coens. Yeah.
And he's good, but he's not the guy who should have gotten a nomination from that movie. It should have been John Goodman.
Oh, and Albert Finney in Miller's Crossing? Like, what the fuck?
John Polito in Miller's Crossing.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking hell, that movie should be like, solid gold. But I don't know. It's not a lot of people know about it. It's weird. It's like their secret masterpiece.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. And you and I are both massive fans of Raising Arizona. That one is a film that just is going to take a minute for people to get it. And I understand that one it's so wacky. It is beyond me how awesome that movie is. I really adore it. And it's definitely, like, for me, certified in my personal top 5. It's always going to be in there. I love that one.
It's a masterpiece, straight up. The more I look at the Coens, the more I am impressed by their ability to tell stories. Because I found out about their writing process, and it's just mind-boggling that anybody can write like that. But the way they do it is they write a scene, and then they build off of that. They think of another scene that could go with that. They never have a plan on any film they've ever written. They just go in blind and hope that they come up with something interesting. They wrote Barton Fink when they got stuck with Miller's Crossing, and they wrote The Big Lebowski when they got stuck with Barton Fink. I mean, for God's sake, that's amazing. I wish I had a shred of the storytelling talent these guys had.
and the thing I'm most jealous of it's a silly word to use, but it is. It's a legitimate thing I feel when I watch someone just do something over and over and over again, almost at masterpiece level. You could say 8 times. These guys, there's an argument for that many in their filmography. The thing I am, I envy their ability to get people on board.
Oh yeah,
like The Big Lebowski. They knew what was going to happen with that one. They just came off of Fargo, this kind of, this hour and 30-minute, just bam, just fucking clean cut, awesome thriller, cop thriller. It's almost perfect. It's like anybody can watch this and be entertained. And you follow with Big Lebowski, very bizarre movie, but you look at like the people that are giving the performances in it, and they're just as good. Jeff Bridges is there, John Goodman's there, Julianne Moore is there. These people are just as good, and they're giving at just as much attention to the screenplay as the people were in Fargo or Miller's Crossing. And that that blows my mind when creators, writers, directors like Joel and Ethan can get people to just get on board for their idea like 100%. It's very rarely half-assed, and when it is, it shows.
Yeah.
And those are like the weaker movies.
Yeah.
But these ones that we're kind of, we're mentioning here, and we're going to talk about as we go through the ones that you mentioned that they're nominated for, they all have an argument for being a masterpiece. And then you throw in the ones that are not Oscar nominated, like Raising Arizona and Big Lebowski, and it gets a little overwhelming. It's like, whoa. These guys how important are these guys in the long run of history of filmmakers? How important are these guys?
Well, I think a big part of that is their incredible ability to write characters, because what they can do is I've heard the expression, there's no small characters, only small actors. And the Coens exemplify that better than anybody. Like, they can bring, have Steve Buscemi be essentially the bad guy of Fargo, and then have him just be Walter's weird friend for a couple scenes in the video.
Yes.
Like, that's amazing that he can, like, Buscemi knows that these guys are going to write him a solid, meaty character, regardless of screen time. And that's why people keep coming back to them, because they know that they are going to get to play somebody interesting.
Yes, that's exactly it. Is that consistency of bringing flavor to everybody on the screen, and that's like my favorite thing that they've offered to cinema is that constant, consistent entertainment. And obviously we're both huge fans. We did what was it, episode 25 on Filmgazm? We did a big old Coen episode where we basically just went down the line, of all their movies, and we can't quite do that here today, but we're going to reference all of them, because that's how we are. We're huge fans. There's a book that I'm still haven't finished reading called it's called This Book Ties the Movies Together by Adam Naiman. It's just about, all the Coen bonanza, and all these movies. And when I read him, this super passionate guy who's in his, I think he's in his 40s, talking about the Coens, and he lived through a lot of these movies, went to see them in theaters, it just rejuvenates me completely. And I love meeting people from different generations that are Coen fans. I know when I met some of your family, it was like, oh, this is really cool because they know the Coens, like they really know the Coens.
Oh yeah, I'm third generation Coen fan. Like, I grew up with the Coen Brothers films, so yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, let's talk about some of the Oscar nominated ones. Of course, Fargo is up for the Coens. Just talking about their nominations: Best Film Editing, Best Director. They won for Best Screenplay for Fargo. You have Best Screenplay for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That was just a nomination.
Yeah.
You have No Country for Old Men nominated for Best Film Editing. You have winner for Best Adapted Screenplay, winner for Best Directing, and winner for Best Picture.
Oh yeah,
it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and it's Best Picture winner, so it will happen here.
That one's hard. That's an episode that is I can see the barrel staring at me because it's There Will Be Blood versus No Country, and Zodiac, maybe my favorite of the three, got the boot. And I cannot wait to have that conversation and really, really figure out which one I like better between No Country and There Will Be Blood, because I don't know. It's so difficult. You got my guy PTA and my homies, the Coens, and there's that awesome story that I've brought up, I know, multiple times on the podcast, is when they're both filming in Texas, and they, the sets could almost fucking see each other, and oh my God, that's crazy stuff. And I love both those movies, and I cannot wait to do a Best Picture showdown based around No Country, because that probably is their masterpiece. It probably is. I think Big Lebowski is my favorite, kind of always will be. But I think No Country breaks through something totally different and totally special. And I love that it got the crown, got the Best Picture crown. That's really cool.
Yeah. I loved when they went up, because they won for screenplay, and then later on they won for director. And I don't remember which one said it, but they were kind of like, we don't really have much else to say, so thanks.
Yeah. We didn't know this was going to happen. Normally you guys don't do this. So
we wrote one speech and we gave it. So see ya.
kind of like what happened to Bong Joon-ho with Parasite. Yeah. Awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Awesome stuff. Yeah. That'll be obviously a killer episode. Picking Ennio Morricone award for that movie. is quite impossible.
Yeah, we might have to do something creative there because there is no
Well,
score.
What I think we could do for that is maybe, because obviously there's a lot of sounds in the movie that are very important. Maybe we can find something that we dig within the sound mixing of the movie, because there's quite frankly not a soundtrack or a score. So that's one of the special things about it, that it Francis Ha can be filmed in black and white. Well, No Country for Old Men's going to do no music. It's like, it's kind of it's a niche thing. It's cool. I like it.
Yeah, of course. And I also love that it's a movie filmed in Texas. It's a movie that highlights Texas. And being I call myself an honorary Texan. It's a good feeling.
Oh yeah, I love movies that capture Texas in the in a very specific way. I don't like when they try to capture every different part of Texas. I like when a movie tackles something about Texas.
Yeah.
And No Country for Old Men goes into a specific place and a very specific story, and I adore that. I could even bring up something like Dazed and Confused. It's very honed in, very focused on a group of people in this city at this school, and that's it. It's not trying to say anything else about other places in Texas, because it is such a huge state and there's so many different little pockets of culture.
Yeah, a lot of people forget that. If you're not from Texas, you don't get that. It's not all just cowboys in the Alamo. There's a lot of different things happening in Texas, a lot of different stories. And I like when we can hone in on just one of those, and No Country does that so well. Exactly.
And the next movie that they make that's Oscar worthy is a Serious Man. This is my third favorite Coen movie of all time, behind Big Lebowski and No Country for Old Men. I find A Serious Man to be from 2009 to be pretty moving. It was nominated for they were nominated for screenplay, and then it was nominated for Best Picture. It's probably their most subtle movie that I love. They've done plenty of subtle movies, or movies that have like a subtlety to it, but this is the one that I get the most. I understand, I connect with, and I laugh at so much. I have a blast with this one, and it's one of those movies that I have a very hard time figuring out why it brings me to tears. It's like, what? Like when it ends, I'm like, why was I so moved by that? What is the deal there? Why does it just kind of pour over me like a wave? I don't know what it is. I still haven't figured it out. That's why I keep rewatching it. I find that one to be, for me personally, a masterpiece, but I totally understand people who don't quite dig it as much as the other stuff,
Well, I've only seen it once, so I really don't have a really emotional connection to it. But a big thing with the Coens is you need to see these films multiple times. If
that's true,
one watch is not going to cover it with a Coen Brothers movie. I mean, it took me a good, I didn't really like Blood Simple the first time I saw it. Second or third time, I think it's one of their smartest films. So you need to have multiple ways of watching these films, multiple viewpoints, multiple trains of thought, or else you probably won't like them. It's very complex storytelling, and A Serious Man is one of those films. I watched it once and I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. And I think if I watch it again, I'm going to see something else in it, because that is what happened every single time I've watched this Coen Brothers movie a second time. So yeah, that's just my advice on that front.
I think I pretty much wholeheartedly agree there, because I was just, while you were saying that, I was kind of racking my brain, and I immediately thought about Raising Arizona. The first time I watched that, I was like, huh. And then the second time I was like, holy shit, this is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
and it can do that. Lebowski hit me right away.
That hit me right away too.
I was a little bit older than most people when I first saw it, sometime in middle school, 14 or so. And I was just pulverized by it. Immediately, I thought it was just genius, but I think you have a serious point there. Even No Country, I remember liking it, but then the second time being like, oh yeah, we got something here. Yeah. The attention to Josh Brolin's the sound of his boots on the sidewalk as he's being chased by Javier Bardem, just lights out stuff, lights out. I just realized with Fargo, I've seen it so many times. I just realized that it's something new I learned about it. that when there's 30 minutes left in the movie, Steve Buscemi, Carl actually says, let's wrap this thing up 30 minutes. Like, like what? I rewarding for viewers. And they do that over and over. And I think you have a serious point there with rewatching. I don't think every director is like that, but the Coens are kind of specific for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just thinking,
love it.
I haven't laughed harder in my life than the first time I heard Walter Sobchak yell, "This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass," and then beat the shit out of the neighbor's Corvette.
Yeah, God, Larry.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you just the sheer amount of him saying "fuck." I was laughing my ass off as a teenager at that for sure. With a serious man, you know, Michael Stuhlbarg and Richard Kind, they're both spectacular in that movie, and I highly suggest if you haven't seen it, and we'll certainly bring it up whenever we do a Best Picture showdown for The Hurt Locker. Yeah. So that'll be great. You know, which is a Catherine Bigelow movie, and she's the first female to win Best Director, which is a damn shame that it took that long. But I would love to do The Hurt Locker because I've only seen that twice. And 2009 is a fascinating year because you also have Inglourious Bastards, which is definitely a masterpiece.
Yeah, 09 is interesting because I haven't seen The Hurt Locker, In Education, or The Blind Side, but I've seen the rest of those nominees.
Well, I haven't seen Education, but The Blind Side, you can skip that one. That one's, to give you context on that. You remember when we did the 1960 episode based around The Apartment? We had Elmer Gantry.
Oh yeah.
You remember the Sundowners?
Yeah.
Like that's what The Blind Side is in comparison to those other movies. Yeah.
Damn.
That movie sucks compared to. It sucks anyway, but then compared to Bastards, A Serious Man, and Hurt Locker, get out of town. You know, it's not even close.
Well, in good faith, I can't skip it, but I get what.
I
understand. What you're saying.
I know, but I want to tell you that before you start watching it, because then you'll know. Oh, Austin hates this. I thought it was just kind of a shitty movie overall. Like story, whatever. Like I thought they bent the rules a lot with that story, and then just like as a movie, I also didn't like it. So it was kind of double whammy.
Ah, damn.
But this next one I know you do like, from 2010.
Oh yes.
This is one that I think you feel pretty strongly about. That'd be True Grit, which they were nominated for Best Screenplay, Best Director, and then it was also nominated for Best Picture. Take it away.
Oh my God. True Grit is a fun fucking movie. That is it's a remake of a shitty John Wayne Western that brings something to the table. We personally, we know an actor from the film. I won't say that. I won't say who it is, but we've had an actor in the film over for, drinks and parties and stuff. And he's done some projects with my family. Cool guy. It's a film that was one of the first Westerns I really paid attention to. The first Western I ever saw in my life, not counting Back to the Future 3, is 2007's 3:10 to Yuma, which was awesome and got me thinking about Westerns. And then I moved to Texas, and then I saw True Grit, and I'm like, oh, that's what they meant by Western. And the courthouse they filmed at is right down the street from my house in Blanco, Texas. And it's just such a great movie. It's such a great movie about, like a one last ride kind of movie and finding yourself. And it's a badass movie. And the cast is so good. 2010, that was the King's Speech, right? Yeah. That's an awesome year because Social Network and True Grit. Yeah. I don't know. I think True Grit had a chance there. Me too. Yeah. I love this movie. I love Jeff Bridges in this movie. I love Josh Brolin, Matt Damon, Haley Steinfeld. They all fucking killed it. And it's a gem for sure. Yeah. Let me look up the other movies that are that year. Do you have any guesses? I want to say maybe The Kids Are All Right. I think that was that year. Ooh, that might be one of them. Let's see. King's Speech is what won. Yeah. I mean, I feel really strongly about Social Network. And I think that's going to be a really, really interesting episode when we do one around King's Speech. Because like you said, True Grit has something to say. The others are, oh man, we got quite a few. Oh, Toy Story 3, duh. Yeah. Winter's Bone, Social Network, Kids Are All Right, Inception, The Fighter,
Black Swan, and 127 Hours.
Damn, I have not seen most of those.
I've seen all of them. Yeah, I've seen all of those. Yeah.
Nice.
I some of those I don't care too much about. I'm not a big fan of Inception. Winter's Bone was a bit forgettable. 127 Hours, I think, is all right. Black Swan, I love. The Fighters got good moments. Melissa Leo and Christian Bale. That's all I need. I'm not too fond of the Wahlberg, Amy Adams love story, but I'm really into it when it's Melissa Leo and Christian Bale. They're both just freak of nature performers. That'll be a fascinating episode. I didn't realize. Yeah, I forget with these. This recent decade, there's a lot of them that have 9 or 10 nominations.
Yeah, because they just kind of opened the floodgates and nominated everything.
Exactly. Yeah. Whereas a lot of the ones we've done, we've gotten used to it being 5 movies. We went back and did 1979, Best Picture Showdown, 1960. We're kind of used to that just being 5. So that'll be interesting to do one of those. I remember doing Moonlight, and you and I had seen so many of them that it was just such an easy conversation.
Yeah, I think I just had to cross Fences and Lion off my list, but the rest of them I was very familiar with.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I had seen them all going into the episode, and it was kind of like you and I just were talking at lunch or something. It was just another day, that's what we do. But True Grit, obviously, we feel pretty passionately about, and that'll be something that we'll highlight on that episode whenever we get to do it. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, I love looking at these things, because then we get excited for for future episodes. It's fantastic.
Wonderful.
Bridge of Spies. Bridge of Spies, a movie we forgot about. He was nominated, Joel Coen, and then that would be in 2015, and then in 2018 you have Ballad of Buster Scruggs, where they're nominated for Best Screenplay, and that's it. That's the end of the road for the Coens' personal, Oscar nominations and wins. Like you said, there's not a ton of films actually represented there for them to.
Yeah.
When it comes down to their whole filmography, but there's some damn good movies right there.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great lineup. I mean, I've rarely walked away from a Coen Brothers film disappointed. I think the only one that really I have not desired to go back to at all is Hail Caesar.
Yeah, that one has a few things. I love the cast so much, and I think that one does require a couple rewatches, because that one's all over the place.
I did not dig it. I saw it after work at Draft House one day with a buddy, and we were both kind of like, "This is terrible. This is boring. The milkshake's good, but this is boring." I was really hoping for more. With a cast like that, I wanted it to be so much better, and it had such potential, and I just feel like they went in a very weird direction with it. And then the other film that I just fucking hated was a film they wrote for George Clooney called Suburbicon.
Oh, yeah.
With the amount of talent behind that movie, I cannot figure out why it sucked so bad. I mean, you've got a Coen Brothers screenplay, you've got Clooney directing, you've got Matt Damon, Julianne Moore, Oscar Isaac. What the fuck happened? That movie was terrible. Oh God.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good one to point out. The Lady Killers, I'm not a huge fan of, but it's okay. It's okay. It's just when we're talking about these other ones, Inside Llewyn Davis and Burn After Reading. What else do we got here? The Man Who Wasn't There, Oh Brother, Hudsucker Proxy. These are awesome movies. I just don't think The Lady Killers is as strong, but still, it's fine. Still fine. Some people would be their best fucking movie. So,
but how telling is that of their skills that The Lady Killers, which is a decent flick, is on their bottom tier?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the reasons why we want to do this episode. Along with Frances McDormand, kind of, her movies coming out this weekend. Nomadland, and we feel like connecting things all the time on this podcast and trying to highlight stuff at the right time. And I think it was cool that we got to talk not only about Franny, but talk about the Coens, uber important to our fandom and just the kind of the American cinema landscape.
Uber important to our friendship. One of the first things we ever talked about was the Coen Brothers. That's what really made us realize, oh, this guy gets it.
Yeah. Well, you kind of have seen a huge chunk of them, or you haven't, or you don't know what you're talking about, because they're addicting. They're guys who we talk about style all the time, and when you lack style, I'm out. Like I want distinct. I want to know who made it. I want to know whose touch is on it. And the Coens, you know where you're at. And one of the main reasons you know where you're at is because of Mr. Roger Deakins.
Oh, take it away.
Roger Deakins, is working as the cinematographer on Fargo. We have our best scene award named after Roger Deakins. We could have chosen a director there, but we wanted to choose Roger Deakins because I don't think cinematography gets nearly enough credit in the normal conversations about movies. It might be a big fun word for people to use when they want to know what they sound like, want to act like they know what they're talking about, but it is uber important to what we are seeing, from the other side. They're taking into account a lot of things that are happening. And Roger Deakins is a guy who works a lot in nature, works outside a lot. He's not only a guy who's worked with the Coens a shit ton, but he's also done something recently like 1917 or Skyfall or Three Billboards outside of Missouri or Blade Runner. This guy has been in the game for a long time. I think it's almost I think it's 19 Oscar nominations. I'll look it up to get proper, but he's a legend when it comes to cinematography, and he's clearly buddies with the Coens because it's daunting how many movies they've worked on together.
Oh yeah, it's insane. He's got this very signature style that he brings to his films. He's kind of like I'd say he's probably the most respected cinematographer in Hollywood. He's even people who don't really know about cinematography, they know the name Roger Deakins. And it's kind of crazy that it took him almost his entire career to finally get an Oscar win with Blade Runner 2049, and then he got another one with 1917. Because who was gonna beat him for 1917? I mean, good God, that movie's all cinematography. But
yeah.
I love the guy. I think he's incredibly talented. I love that you combine his eye with the Coen's words, and you've got an incredible motion picture. Nothing but respect.
Yeah. It's 15. He's been nominated 15 times for best cinematography, and won twice, like you brought up, Blade Runner in 1917. These are the people that we kind of, before we even started Oscar Sunday, we were like, we want to talk about these kinds of people.
Yeah.
We not only do we want to talk about, the faces of the game, the Leonardo DiCaprios, the Brad Pitts, but we want to talk about Roger Deakins, a name that clearly people have heard of, but don't know exactly what exactly it is that he does, or all the movies that he's worked on. It's pretty baffling. He's been up for a bunch of BAFTAs, bunch of Independent Spirit Awards, Golden Globes, just everything. He has like just a whole fucking cabinet of this shit. It's not only the Oscars that thinks that way. It's pretty much any award organization around the world that pays attention to movies. Roger Deakins has a nomination there. He's that kind of a cat. Do you think that there's a Coen film that you were like, that was the perfect mashup of Deakins and Coens? Do you think that there's a signature movie in the filmography? Because there's so many. But do you think there's one that stands out?
I do, and honestly, I think it's Fargo.
Same.
I think that he captures this isolation, almost like this whole story takes place in this weird upper Midwest bubble. And it makes it feel like I bring it up in my awards, like it's a fairy tale told in the Midwest. And I think Deakins is the reason behind that. It's perfect. It's a perfect, artist and medium matchup.
I agree. I think that's one of the things watching it this time around and seeking out things to find, to give awards out. It made me watch this movie in a totally different light. And I've always been kind of like, oh, it's overrated. Fargo's overrated. No, it's not. I was wrong. I was dead wrong. For the longest time, I would have given this movie an 8, and that's just silly. That's my own bias. I think it's definitely a 9, if not a 10. There's not 1 second of it that doesn't make sense, that doesn't add up, that doesn't just entertain you or make you laugh or make you cringe a little bit. It's brilliant filmmaking. And Deakins clearly has a touch from the get-go. In the snow, with the car, the trees, every little thing is, oh, there's a guy who clearly knows what he's doing, with natural lighting right away. And it doesn't let up the rest of the time. Even the simple shots inside the bar of Carl Showalter saying, like, I'm not going to debate you. Like that, the decisions are all there, they're being made, and they're good ass decisions. And I love that we both kind of saw that watching Fargo this time around. Is like, oh wow, like everything behind the camera is working on all cylinders.
That's been my favorite thing about Oscar Sunday, is it has opened my eyes and made me view these films in a completely different mindset, in a way that Filmgazm and Sneak Preview really haven't done. This podcast has kind of forced me to appreciate things a lot harder. And I love that to death. I'm seeing these like films I've seen 100 times. I feel like I'm seeing them for the first time. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I think that this show has allowed us to do that with movies that we're rewatching, and then really fucking pay attention to movies we're watching for the first time.
Yes.
With Gaslight, feel real strong about that one. Feel really strongly. It was my first time seeing it. When I gave out those awards, I still remember them. I remember, I know exactly the moments, that blew me away. I know how, Boye was just kind of like a mind-boggling performer in that movie. And it's kind of because of the, this little exercise that we do with the awards, which we're about to get into here. It allows us and forces us to make a decision and figure it out. And by doing that, with a movie like Fargo, you start listing, oh shit, there's like 6 people here that could win the PSH. Oh fuck. And you start thinking, what does the PSH mean to me? And what does it mean for this movie? And I love asking myself those questions. And we got a barn burner here. Fargo is going to be one of the most fun ones for both of us, I think, to give awards out to. And I think it feels right after talking about Roger Deakins to go ahead and get into him. What do you think?
Well, I think first we should talk about the Oscars that Fargo actually got nominated for.
Oh, you want to talk about the because we, of course, Coen's got the dub and McDormand got the dub, but there are 5 other nominations.
Yeah, just to kind of
course,
we're not really well versed in the '96 Oscars. It's
true.
A lot of those films we just have not seen yet. So I think going through them the way we usually do wouldn't be very fun, because we don't really have much to talk about on that front. But I think showcasing exactly what Fargo was up for, we should do that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, there's 5 others. Yeah, I mean, 7 total nominations is a good handful.
Yeah. So obviously it won for Best Original Screenplay for the Coens and Best Actress for Frances McDormand. It was also up for Best Film Editing for the Coens under their alias Roderick Janes. I love that they do that. Best Cinematography for Roger Deakins. Best Director for Joel Coen. Best Supporting Actor for William H. Macy as Jerry Lundegaard. And,
heck you mean?
And Best Picture. So William H. Macy, this is his only nomination. He's a character actor who just feels like he's been there forever, always gives it. And he's such a shit in this movie. Jerry Lundegaard is such a bad person. My God. It's such a great performance. I think Buscemi should have been up for something. I think he's amazing in this film.
Incredible.
Yeah. The fact he's never been up for anything is fucking criminal. But yeah, I think it's a solid cast, a great bunch of nominations. And I got to see the rest of these films just so I can know what exactly did Fargo lose to.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And, speaking for both of us really is that we want that perspective before we exactly say anything, especially these more recent years, like the 90s, 2000s, 2010s. We know that it's going to be hard to watch all of the nominated movies from like the 40s, but these are accessible. These we can get to, and we will get to one day, which is why an English Patient episode, Best Picture Showdown, will allow us to do that.
Absolutely. Without further ado, let's give some awards to Fargo.
Fuck yeah, man. We have the Tarantino, best line, best quote. We have the Ennio Morricone for best music moment, best needle drop, whatever you really want as far as sound goes, music goes. Then we have the Philip Seymour Hoffman Award for best performance, And we have the Roger Deakins Award for best scene or best moment of the movie. So take it away, Connor.
Okay. So my Tarantino, this
Oscar-winning screenplay here.
This was impossible. This took me the whole damn movie. I was like, I don't know. And it's the Coens. Like, how do you say what is the best Coen line in a film? I mean, it's all gold. I don't know how you do that. So, but I finally got one. It's when Marge finally catches up with Gare and arrests him and has him in the car. And she starts kind of piecing together exactly what happened. And here's her little speech. So that was Mrs. Lendegaard on the floor in there. And I guess that was your accomplice in the wood chipper. And those 3 people in Brainerd. And for what? For a little bit of money? There's more to life than a little money, you know. Don't you know that? And here you are. And it's a beautiful day. Well, I just don't understand it. Perfect. Like small cop, you know, with a big murder. Like, yeah, of course it'd be like, why'd you do this? Life's great. Why would you want to do something like this?
Yeah. Oh man. In Brainerd, I love every little piece of decision making Frances McDormand's making for that voice, for that accent.
That's perfect. It's flawless. It really is.
Truly. Yeah, that's a excellent choice. And I also went with a little bit of like a, you know, it's a little paragraph here, but it's when you have Officer Olson visiting Mr. Mora, who's shoveling his driveway. He's trying to figure some stuff out, do some detective work. So he's going to go talk to this guy who made a call. And Mr. Mora says, so, you know, he's drinking. So I don't think a whole great deal of it. But Mrs. Mora heard about the homicides down here last week, and she thought I should call it in. So I called it in. End of story. Oh, man. And then the cops just like, all right, thanks for calling it in. And then, you know, the scene ends. And that's how simple and easily this movie moves. Every scene, the dialogue is like, oh, all right, sounds good.
Because I love that, you know, with cop movies, a lot of them are very much like it's always like the NYPD or something like, you know, get there right now. We don't know what's going on. But it's the, you know, Brainerd, Minnesota local PD. So of course they're going to be like, oh, how's it going? Oh, well, I guess you know what you got there. Like that's how they'd handle a situation like this. It'd be like, oh, thanks for telling me that. It's just, yeah. I love that. They captured like local law mentality, small town cop so perfectly.
It's great because that scene is, you know, Mr. Mora is talking about Carl, you know, being at the bar and talking about, oh, he's talking about how he's going crazy up there at the lake and needs some action. And I say, what kind of action? He says, woman action. Like, what do I look like? You know, that all of that is like, that would only happen here in a small town. And when it happens in New York or LA in those movies, it doesn't make any sense because the wife is like, hey, there are these murders, these homicides, and there's a, you know, kind of funny looking guy, creepy guy. We should call it in. That typically wouldn't happen unless it was a small town. So capturing that essence it is what Fargo is, and why someone like Noah Hawley is like, I'm going to fucking make a show out of this and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it because it's so much fun to make entertainment in this way.
Yeah. I've lived in small towns all my life, and you remember faces, you recognize people. And when you see somebody you don't recognize, you start thinking like, why are they here? Like, yeah, there's gotta be a reason. And when there's murders happening, you're going to connect those things. It just makes sense. The Coens understand human behavior. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah. I love that aspect of this movie.
Oh, hell yeah, man. What's
all right?
Yeah. Moving on.
Ennio Morricone.
Yeah.
I'll do mine. Mine's pretty basic because I just couldn't avoid it. Carter Burwell composed this just spectacular score, and a guy who's also been involved with the Coens through many movies
since the beginning.
And this is a famous, you know, I chose the Fargo, North Dakota, the theme song, basically the intro. That's what I chose for my Ennio. It's just breathtaking. I know exactly what it is when I hear it. It has the same power as like the Jurassic Park, you know, theme song. It has that same power in my mind, and I know exactly where I'm going to be. And it reminds me of the TV show. It reminds me of all those characters and everything that it influences. And I love when something can do that.
I picked the same scene for the very same reasons. It's an incredible score. It sucks me in immediately. It makes me think like, you know, I get like a Once Upon a Time in, Fargo, North Dakota kind of vibe.
Oh yeah. And with the touch of, this is a true story. The events happened in 1987 in Minnesota. It's spectacular. And with that score behind it, with Roger Deakins' touch, and then you get into the screenplay that the Coens provide, it's all perfect.
It is. Yeah. Fantastic. Absolutely.
Carter Burwell, man. That's another name that, just does not get enough credit. You could say that Deakins and Burwell are the two most important individuals in the Coens' career.
Yeah.
You could say that.
It's a team effort. It takes a village, and you got to have the right people in every corner. And God knows the Coens have found the right people. I mean, from the beginning, Carter Burwell was like one of their film school roommates or something, and he did the score for Blood Simple, and that's still to date my favorite score that he's done for them.
Oh, so good. That's a huge question, because there's so many scores that he's composed for their movies alone that are wonderful. But Blood Simple, that's what stands out most about that movie is the music. Jesus.
Eerie. It almost, it drags the film out of crime thriller and into horror almost.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But yeah, Fargo is no slouch.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it. I love the what's his name? Russo, the guy who does the music for the TV show. He totally gets it. He totally understands and is like, I'm not going to try to be too cute here. I'm going to pay homage to the show, to the movie. Awesome. When the percussion hits, when you got the equivalent of Carl coming in as Adam Goldberg, so cool. So cool. I love that. The Philip Seymour Hoffman Award. This is always interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably going to be different again.
I don't know. I have a feeling we're treading in the same direction here. I mean, to me, it was unavoidable. It's Frances McDormand.
I thought so, but I went with Crazy Eyes.
Oh,
Steve Buscemi
wow.
as Carl Showalter. I ended up giving the PSH to him. I do think it's a bit silly because we did this whole kind of episode based around Franny, and she won the Oscar. But within the movie, within this film, like my favorite and the most valuable performance to me is Carl. Is what Steve's doing as Carl. He's kind of scary, kind of creepy, wicked entertaining. He's like, get me into the ozone, baby, hitting the TV, like, and then he's, just shoots Wade in the fucking chest with like no hesitation. This guy is bonkers crazy. And I don't know exactly why he is the way he is. And Steve Buscemi does this character so much justice.
Yeah, no arguments here. It's really hard to find a top dog in this movie. They are all so good.
William H. Macy. Fuck.
Yeah. And it really just came down to, I love Marge Gunderson as a character.
Me too.
I love that our hero in this movie is a pregnant cop who is an amazing detective, solves this whole thing almost single-handedly with this like small town upbeat optimism the whole time. And just, ends up, pulling a gun on Peter Stormare as he's shoving a leg into a wood chipper. Like, to stumble upon that and then arrest the guy after shooting him in the leg. She's a badass. And her relationship with, John Carroll Lynch is having such a nice, solid relationship during all this. I want that, I think I said this in the Coen Brothers episode on the Filmgazm podcast. Like, I want to have that kind of relationship when I'm in my 40s.
Norm and Marge are definitely, the relationship goals, right?
Yes, the gold standard.
That's what people say these days, right? I totally agree. The scenes with Norm are like so heartwarming. Norm, I'm gonna turn in. Okay. Hey, Norm, the Prowler needs a jump. Just
I'll make you a breakfast.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and he brings her lunch. Brings her Arby's while she's working, and
she brings in night crawlers. It's a good relationship.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and she's awesome, and she's a great hero to get behind. And I love when she's just she got Jerry Lundegaard by the balls in his office, and he knows it. Like, it's a great character. It's one of my favorite Coen characters they've ever written. Is Marge Gunderson.
It could be I've read a lot of lists, of like best Coen characters of all time, and I see her right at the top pretty much every time, and I totally understand why. I love the decision to not bring her into the movie until like over 20 minutes in. I
Yeah.
love that decision, because when she comes onto the scene, that's the first time we see her having breakfast, and she's pregnant, and yet the Prowler needs a jump. That's like the first time. It's a total break in the movie. We've seen some kind of wacky, weird, dark shit, and then bam, like you said, the small town upbeat optimism. That's perfect.
Even when she's got a like monstrous killer in the back seat, she's like, now why would you want to go and do a thing like this? It's just, how do you not root for somebody like that?
How do you not root for Carl, who's like, hey, Shep, what are you doing? I was banging that girl.
Driving to open the fucking gate, like his face bleeding. Like, it's perfect. Everything.
Yeah. Oh man, you feel like a fucking authority figure here. You change, a piece of shit. Fucking, he's brutal. Yeah. The getting shot right in the face. You shot me. He's so damn funny, and the fact that the last time we see him is his leg being pushed into a wood chipper is perfect.
Yeah, it's, oh god, this movie is so off the wall. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a Coen Brothers movie. It's the only way you can describe it.
Yeah, it's a purebred Coen. Yeah.
Fantastic.
So good.
With that, what is your Roger Deakins?
Oh man, this is pretty tough here. I just brought up that Frances McDormand doesn't show up for 20 minutes. It's actually 30 minutes because I had it written down right here. And the scene right before she shows up is when Carl and his buddy, Peter Stormare, they commit 3 murders. One that's a cop, in Brainerd. That scene is unbelievable.
Yeah.
When they get pulled over, I would say from when they get pulled over to Peter Stormare, putting the last shot in that girl in the car. That is some of the best stuff I've ever seen in any thriller ever, especially when Steve Buscemi is pulling the cop's body into the snow and the people drive by and Peter Stormare is like, and he just fucking whips that car and starts, speeding up towards them and puts his cigarette out, which he hasn't done the entire time. He's been smoking the whole movie. He's like, I'm fucking serious. And he goes into execution mode, and it's scary, super entertaining, because you have Carl. I thought we could just take care of it here in Brainerd. and then, Peter Stormare shoots him in the head. And it's just like this wicked dark, wicked funny stuff happening at the same time. And if you like it or you don't. And I don't know what it is about me, but I'm one of those people, obviously they have a lot of fans. I really connect with that stuff in their movies. When it gets kind of nasty, it gets to the edge. That's like my favorite Coen stuff.
Oh, right here too, man. It's somewhere, it's stuff you're never going to see any other filmmaker do, is this weird mixture of humor and horror that the Coens always somehow manage to put in their films. It's cool. It's weird, and it's pure them. One thing for example, my grandmother, I've talked about her a lot on these podcasts, is how much she hates horror movies. She's not a fan of violence. She doesn't like, grisly stuff in a movie. Fargo is one of her favorite films.
Yeah, because it breaks all of that. It breaks all those barriers, and it doesn't allow itself to succumb to the stigmas or sometimes they're not stigmas. Sometimes it's true. Sometimes the reason she likes it is because it is a Coen movie, because it's fucking good. Yeah. And it knows how to balance itself. Yeah. I love that. I love when I hear stuff like that.
And my Deakins is right up there. And it is the scene where Marge stumbles onto Peter Stormare just shoving a body into a wood chipper, and the look that comes on her face of I have never seen anything like this before, and I have to handle it. She pulls her gun. She's like, you can see the tremble. Am I going to pull this off? And then she, shoots him in the back of the leg and throws him in the squad car. It's great. That whole bit from just him with a piece of wood shoving the leg into the wood chipper, the gore coming out the back. It's just so freakish. But because of the Coen Brothers, because of everything you've seen thus far, you can't help but chuckle a little. It's so weird. They like condition you from the beginning to be like, buckle the fuck up. It's unlike anything you're going to see by anybody else. And once you come to terms with that, you'll laugh at anything. You'll freak out at anything. It's the Coen brothers have the ability to literally rewire your mind and make you realize you're watching something completely different. It's amazing.
Yes.
Very few filmmakers can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. We've spoken a lot about the consistency. It's obviously there. Oh man, that last scene could not be any more just perfect. A perfect cap off.
Yeah.
To a movie that I just didn't realize was perfect until this time. This is like my 20th time seeing this movie, and I just now realize how damn good it is.
From Geyer just walking out of the shed or out of the cabin with a fucking axe and just going at Buscemi with one swing, you're like, fuck, what is this now? And there's so many great moments in this movie where you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
You betcha.
Brilliant. Yeah. I'm going to bed now.
Oh yeah.
I love when William H. Macy comes home that night and what's his son's name? Scotty. Yeah, Gene and Scotty. This will be real good for us. I love when he's like, Scotty's like, Stan Grossman called 2 times. He's like, I'm going to bed now. It's like, yeah, you better go to bed.
Yeah.
Jesus,
they said
man.
no cops. This is my deal here.
Now, I do have one question for you, and maybe it's obvious. Maybe I just missed something after seeing it so many times. So obviously, Jerry, flees and goes to that hotel, and that's where they arrest him. Yeah. Where is Scotty during that time?
I've wondered that myself. I don't know.
McDonald's
the whole time. Yeah, maybe. For all Jerry knows, he could
because Grandpa's dead. Mom's not there, and Dad's not there. So I wonder what he did. I don't know.
Ward of the state, maybe, or maybe Stan Grossman's raising him now.
I'm not even now what happened to Scotty. I was thinking about like in that moment while Jerry's getting arrested. I'm like, wait, where did he leave his kid? Like, did he leave him with somebody? I hope so. I hope he left him with Stan Grossman.
I doubt it. Jerry is a selfish bastard the whole time. I doubt he had plans for his son. I mean, a man who's willing to organize a kidnapping scheme on his own wife is not exactly thinking about his family's well-being.
And how much does he remind you of Whiz Kid Donnie Smith on Magnolia? a man in debt.
This is Whiz Kid Donnie Smith. Like after, the book signings stop after they this is, rich grandpa or rich father-in-law working as a car, underappreciated car salesman. We can get you that true coat, $100 off.
You fucking liar. I love that scene so much.
I'll talk to my boss. He's never done this before, but I'll talk to my boss.
God, these guys. I love that guy. That customer is fantastic.
When he's signing the lease and Jerry's just looking down like a kid who got yelled at.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I love when he initially goes to his boss and he's like, you going to the Gophers on Sunday? You kidding? Fucking, oh my God. You have an extra ticket? Yeah, it's just, there's so many wonderful moments, whether it be the screenplay or the performances or the directing or the cinematography or the music. I understand why it has all the acclaim it does.
It's special. It's very special. And I have had it at an 8 for God knows how long. I'm going to bump it up to a 9 as well.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I had it as an 8 for way too long, and I know you and I, we do take our personal feelings about it into account because that's what the rating is almost there for. Yeah. But we also with time understand that rewatching stuff and kind of reshaping an opinion is possible and is definitely going to happen. And with Fargo, it's like we went from liking it to loving it. Yeah. And that's really special.
Oh, 100%. It's great. Anytime I can, further appreciate a Coen Brothers movie, it's a good day.
Oh yeah. I mean, so if you, speaking of, that's a great conversation. What would be on the top of your list of Coen Brothers movies that you need to rewatch where you're like, oh, I kind of need to get a new perspective on it?
Serious Man is there. Intolerable Cruelty, I'd like to watch again.
Okay.
I know I don't really want to, but I probably should. Hail Caesar, I probably do have to watch that again. And then Buster Scruggs, because I liked it a lot, and I know that if I watch it again, I'm going to really like it even more.
Same. Yeah, I definitely want to give that one maybe a little bit longer to breathe, and then I'm gonna tackle it again.
Oh yeah.
I think Hail Caesar is one that I need to go at another time, give it another go, because I hear some people that I really look up to in the movie world and on podcast and whatnot and writing really love that movie, and I want to know why. I want to know a little bit why. It doesn't mean I need to love it, but I want to know. I want to get more perspective. There's got to be something that I missed, or maybe they're wrong. I love that. I love that about giving the art another chance, because it's up on the block, and your opinion matters at that point when you see it multiple times and you have that perspective. I think it matters at that point.
Yeah, you combine Filmgazm, Oscar Sunday, and the sneak preview. We're nearly 200 episodes in on these podcasts. So I think what we have to say is significant at this point.
We're trying our best, right? That's the goal. And I think next week is going to push us hard.
What are we doing next week?
Oh man, I've been waiting to see this movie for a long time, Connor. It's John Cassavetes' 1968 Faces. Oh boy, I cannot wait to see this movie. It was up for three Oscars at the 41st Academy Awards. Didn't win anything, but as time has gone on, people look at this movie in a very, very special way, and I'm hoping to become a part of that crew. Like we were just talking about, when we put these movies up and we have to pick awards out for them, it makes you take it really seriously, and I cannot wait to finally see this movie. I've recently kind of gotten into John Cassavetes, and like A Woman Under the Influence is like something I see as a masterpiece. And I always, if I see something like that's old, I want to know what else that guy did. And the first time I heard about him was Rosemary's Baby, and I saw him as a performer, and I was like, oh, this guy can direct too. Yeah, I got to see what else he can do. In this case, he's directing and acting, and I just cannot wait to watch this, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. I have not tapped into Cassavetes at all beyond his performances in Rosemary's Baby and The Dirty Dozen. So yeah. I don't really know him as a director in the slightest. So this is completely uncharted territory for me.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, going to 1968, going to the 41st Academy Awards, and going into John Cassavetes' mind, a guy that has kind of gained more and more respect as time has gone on, as he's been away from, working and being here with us. He's only gotten more respect in the movie culture.
Oh, hell yeah. Digging into individuals on this show is always a blast. And it'll be great talking about Cassavetes. I'll probably, put some other films of his on my list just so I have some background knowledge. And tune in next Sunday for that. This Wednesday on the Filmgazm podcast, Julie and I are doing The Sixth Sense. Looking forward to that. And then on Monday tomorrow, we'll be talking Nomadland. A little more Frances McDormand for you.
Why not? Because she's one of the best, man. I cannot wait to watch that movie and talk about it for Monday's episode.
Yeah, me too, man. God, I love that we have this back. I was really worried because of everything that went down. Like our whole fucking schedule was going to be just crushed. But nope, we found our way back.
We're here. Yeah, we're here. We're going to keep rolling. Like you said, Nomadland's coming up, Filmgazm, and we'll just keep rolling with all these shows. And of course, the Google guys are coming on March 5th, and we're just gonna this train is not gonna stop. No matter what's happened. There was one time you were in Colombia, we still figured that shit out. There's been times though I've traveled and we figured that shit out. We've gone through this stupid winter storm that our state was not prepared for, and we got through it. So I'm confident.
A snow and an ice storm wiped out Texas' power grid, and our episode was only delayed by 2 days.
Yeah.
Cannot stop the Filmgazm team. We will always have content coming.
Yes, indeed.
Fellow Texans, stay safe, stay warm, stay sane. We're going to get through this together. Keep watching movies.
Peace.